My ex-fiancé was cheating and wanted me to kill myself so he could be the grieving boyfriend. We have been together since we were 15. We got engaged at 18, the summer before we went to different colleges. We were both 20. Our wedding date was 8 months away. He was my dad's best friend. They went hunting and fishing together all the time, and it was heartwarming to see them spend so much time together. My dad went through a divorce before he met my mom. They married, and 6 months later, his then-wife ran off with another man. We had a serious conversation one day about my future. We had been together long enough that our families assumed we'd be together forever. Do you love him? He needed to know I truly loved him and wasn't staying with him just for our families. He didn't want me to go through what he did before he met my mom. If you marry the wrong person, it could really mess up your life. Yes, I love him more than anything. I was positive. John and I were made for each other. We couldn't wait to move in with each other and call our own shots. We hated being kids. We both wished we were older. I was so excited to finally move in with him and start living the life we both dreamed of together. I had so much money in savings for our future together. I got my first job at 16 and saved nearly every dollar I made. I volunteered at the local animal rescue, and the rescue was kind enough to hold my favorite dog for several months so we could adopt him at the end of the year. It was the weekend before my finals week. I was in my next to last semester for my 4-year degree. In the weekend, he graduated. That Saturday, he got handed his diploma for his 2-year degree. Watching him walk across the stage in his cap and gown was a dream come true. He made it. One of us made it over our finish line, and he even started his new job that Monday. It couldn't have been more perfect. Our plan was to move to Bluefield together, but I would stay with my parents on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I scheduled my classes, so I'd only have to spend 3 nights away from him each week. Since I only had one more semester, it was doable until I got my degree. He got upset about nearly everything I did. Since we were moving in together soon, I knew I had to stand my ground with him more often, not let him push me around as much. I was gradually growing a stronger backbone. We were both lying in bed that evening. We were discussing how we might arrange our new apartment. I noticed John was quiet and seemed uninterested, so I asked him what was wrong. He looked straight forward and said, "I don't think I'm happy anymore." It took me a few moments to process what he just said. What? What's going on? What's wrong? I got responses like, "I don't know, I'm just unhappy. I felt this way for a while. I don't know what it is." I asked if it's because he's unsure about his new job. I asked if it was because he feared moving several hours away from our families. I asked if it was because he's sad he's leaving a bunch of his friends now that he's graduated. Though I doubted it, I even asked if there was someone else that he might love. No. The answer to anything and everything I asked it could be was no. Then I finally asked, "Is it me?" He paused and said, "I don't know again." My heart skipped a beat. We were getting married in 8 months, and I may have just somehow ruined everything. I started asking the usual questions that I'm used to asking since he couldn't come up with an answer. What am I doing wrong? Did I do something today? He couldn't give me a reason. Did I say something you didn't like? Well, lately, yeah, you've been doing that a lot. This is kind of what he just went with going forward. He said I don't always praise him like I did when we were younger. He said lately I've been really mean to him. After this, I spent the next several hours professing my undying love to him. There's no one I love and respect more than you. I'm so sorry for making you feel unworthy in any way. What do I need to do? What do you want me to change? What will it take for me to make you happy again? I mean, I want to marry you. I was so emotional and confused. I didn't know what I was doing wrong, and John wasn't telling me how to improve my actions. I didn't know what to do. He reassured me that he was too unsure to make a decision about whether to end our engagement and told me that I had nothing to worry about. I think it's needless to say how I took this. It made me want to die. Sunday, I called him early in the morning because I needed to hear his voice. My phone call woke him up. I didn't even know what to say to him when I had him on the phone. He was irritated by the whole phone call. He told me I needed to speak up and try to breathe because he couldn't understand what I was telling him. Okay, sorry. What's wrong? Are you all right? No. Why in the world would I be okay after last night? He says nothing. So I say, I need to know you're okay. I need to know that I have nothing to worry about. So, should I be worried? He groaned when he said, I don't know. I fell on my bed, crying harder than I had ever cried in my life. I grabbed my pillow and started screaming into it and punching it. I picked up the phone, and he asked if I wanted him to stop by before leaving for Bluefield. I said yes. I hoped he would get here and hug me harder than he ever had, tell me he was sorry and that I had nothing to worry about, and tell me how much he loved me. I needed to hear it. I had never been more scared in my life. When he got there, we went to my bedroom. We sat on the bed together, and he just looked at me. His face said, I'm here. What do you want? I felt like I didn't even know him. He looked so aggravated. He looked at me like I was someone he'd never cared for, like someone he couldn't stand. Just looking at him made me break down in tears. He angrily asked, what will it take to make this better? This angered me. He was acting like he had no idea what was bothering me. I said, Well, obviously, I would feel a lot better if you stopped acting like you suddenly don't love me and promised me that I have nothing to worry about. This had him completely appalled. I'm not promising you anything. I felt like I was going to black out. I just laid down on my bed. He just kept sitting there letting me cry. He probably got his phone out and started playing on it while I was like this. After some more time passed, he told me he was ready to leave. I usually hug him, kiss him, and send him out the front door. But whenever he made me cry, I would always prefer to stay in my room until I could pull myself together. I didn't want my parents to think that he upset me. I told him to just go. Well, do I at least get a kiss? I pushed myself off the bed and kissed him. As he left, I asked, "What do I tell your mom if she wants to go wedding dress shopping? What am I supposed to tell everyone when they see me crying?" "I don't know. I love you." "I love you too." I was pissed that he just danced around that question. But I always had to respond when he said "I love you," or he'd get mad. And I was just so tired from crying to stop him and get an honest answer. I stayed in my room and cried for several more hours. I was furious because he dropped this bomb on me right before my finals week. Why couldn't he at least have waited till next weekend to tell me this so I could focus on finals? I was full of guilt for being mad at him. It obviously must be really bothering him for him to be bringing this up at a time like this. I beat myself up for having an attitude with him earlier when he asked me how he could make it better. That was really considerate of him, and all I did was snap at him. Why can't I just make him happy? This was my fault. If I had just been better, he wouldn't have ever brought this up. I need to be brave for him and get through all the problems I've brought upon myself. I needed to show him I could be strong, handle conflict, and be his peace and comfort. He texted me when he got to his hotel in Bluefield. I asked him, "Do you want me to leave you alone for a while?" I could tell he was annoyed that I kept bringing this up. "Yeah, I just need time to think about what I want." "Okay, I love you so much, and I'm here when you're ready to talk." It killed me not knowing when he'd ever text me back. But I knew all I was doing was making things worse, and me not bothering him was the best thing I could do. It hurt to breathe. My face had no color. I checked my phone constantly to see if John texted me. I wanted him to call me and tell me he loved me and that everything was okay. I knew I couldn't hide my emotions from my parents, so I approached my mom about it. I told her that he was confused and just scared of how everything is changing. He just graduated and is now moving across the state to start his new job. I said that I took it the wrong way, that I thought he was unsure of me too, and that I simply overreacted. She hugged me and told me everything will work out and that we'll both be fine. I spent the rest of the day away from my family because I was crying on and off. I will never forget how I felt. The hours felt like years. I could hear my heartbeat in my chest, and it was so loud that my ears were ringing. I couldn't see straight. I couldn't get air to get in and out of my lungs properly. It felt like my neck and chest were wrapped in barbed wire, and the more I would breathe, the more I hurt. I had to hold onto the wall when I stood up to walk because I was shaking and trembling so hard. The pain I felt hurt so bad that I wanted to die. It felt like years. It was the worst night of my life. Just this simple Sunday and Monday felt like it lasted longer than my whole 20 years of life. It suddenly makes a lot of sense that people commit suicide when they have this much emotional pain. I was afraid that I was losing this war against my emotions. How much longer can I fight this? I had all 3 of my finals on Monday. I went to the library to do some last-minute studying. It turned out that changing my surroundings didn't help. I was holding my chest because of the pain. I was crying all day. I was breathing so loud and hard that I was wheezing. I noticed people around me were noticing. I tried to keep my hand off my chest so no one would think that I was struggling to breathe. A few people asked me if I was okay. When I replied yes, they could probably tell that I had been crying. I was so embarrassed by all the looks I was getting. I realized how not okay I was. My professors, my peers, and everyone I walked past noticed me. This pain, guilt, and fear had completely consumed me. There was no putting on a brave face. After I bombed my last final, I trembled back to my car. I was struggling to catch my breath from the short but painful and exhausting walk all the way there. Once I made it, I had to strenuously catch my breath, then sit and cry one more time before I started driving, and then catch my breath again. When I was making my commute back home, I dove deep into thought. He was the one that made me feel this way. He was also the only one who could make me feel better. His actions and words have so much power over me, and he knows it. I don't like that someone has this kind of control over me. The thought of marrying him and being with him for the rest of my life seemed terrifying to me now. I felt so much guilt for still being angry at him. He told me not to worry about it. That's supposed to be enough. I need to drop it. I'm being dramatic. Deep in my mind, I was screaming to myself, "You can't live like this." The pain I felt hurt so bad that I wanted to die. And marrying him might make me have to endure this pain forever. Even if he called me and said, "I still love you, and I still want to marry you," I knew it wouldn't fix it. What if he starts feeling unsure again? All he'd have to do is say it, and I'd go right back to rock bottom where I am now. I knew I could never forgive him for making me feel so small and worthless. Can I really marry him now? But I didn't dive too deep into this thought. I kept stopping myself. I kept reassuring myself that I love him and he loves me. He's just confused. This has only been bothering me for 2 days? How has it been only 2 days? It feels like it's been a lifetime. I'm really getting bad about taking things too hard. I should be ashamed of myself for making this about me, instead of doing everything I can to comfort him right now. I'm being weak. What good am I if I can't make his hurt go away? He texted me and asked if we could talk on the phone. I was so excited to hear his voice, but at the same time, I was dreading hearing his voice. I was afraid of what he had to say. I didn't know how many more times I could take being stabbed in the heart. Here's how the phone call went, to the best of my memory. Hey hun, I got a place. It's a house. Okay, pause. It doesn't allow dogs. Okay, pause. My heart is sinking. I can't do this anymore. Pause. Did I just hear that right? What do I say? Whoa. I'm unsure how long this pause lasted, whether a few seconds or several minutes. I felt like my life flashed before my eyes. I couldn't feel my body. I looked at his senior pictures of me and him up on my parents' wall. This is really the end. I thought about our dog, his family, my mom, dad, brother, and sister. I felt my face wet with tears, so I wiped my face. It was the millionth time I've had to wipe my face in the last 2 days, and I was fed up with it. I snapped. How could you do this? You ruined my life. I didn't know what to do, so I just hung up and fell onto the couch, screaming. I wasn't crying. I was screaming. I screamed till I couldn't anymore and started taking deep breaths. I noticed almost immediately that it felt easier to breathe. It felt like my lungs and throat weren't wrapped in barbed wire anymore. It was like John had finally stopped violently strangling me. I felt hungry. I don't remember the last time I ate. More than a day ago. I went to the kitchen and started eating some fruit and pretzels. I felt strength slowly filling my body. It was like I was revived after dying. He texted me that we still need to get our stuff back to each other. He had things like my TV in his grandma's cabin and some of my nicer clothes. I had his parents' wheelbarrow and other farm equipment at my house. I told him to leave me alone and that I'll talk to his mom. I assumed he wasn't planning on telling her what he had done tonight. I was home alone. My mom and dad had gone grocery shopping together. I called my mom and asked if they could both come home because I needed them. Can you come home? John just broke up with me. Okay, we'll leave here now. I could tell she didn't know how to react. How was she supposed to? My eyes were so tired and hurting from crying, so I turned off the living room light, then every light in the house. Then I just lay in the dark living room waiting for Mom and Dad to get home. My mom came through the front door and turned on the light. She didn't see me on the couch. She looked panicked as she went into the other rooms and turned the lights on. I told her I'm here on the couch. She sat down beside me and hugged me. My dad brought in the one bag of groceries they were able to get before I called them. He watched us talk for a little bit, then walked into his room, probably thinking I wanted to talk to Mom in private. My heart hurt for him. I felt like I had let him down. I'm so mad at him. I know I am too. She didn't know what to say. What was she supposed to say? What am I going to do? His family isn't my family anymore. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I did. I can't go on the band trip to Albuquerque in a few days. She told me no, that I needed to go on it. She asked me if I think he cheated on me. I told her no. As mad at him as I was, I knew he would never cheat. I took a shower and went to bed. I lay there deep in thought. He finally realized I was not a good girlfriend, fiancée, or wife. It just took him 5 years, 4 months, and 8 days to realize it. He just stayed with me so long because he pitied me and knew no one else would want to be with me. He didn't want me to be lonely, but he didn't quite love me enough to marry me. I guess I should be thankful that he put up with me all through high school and college. I had the deepest, soundest sleep of my life that night. I had never woken up so rested yet depressed. I got out of bed and took off my engagement ring, then started gathering his stuff. I also started packing for my band trip to Albuquerque. I remember I went places with my mom. She told me I was handling this surprisingly well. I told her it was because I hadn't completely processed what happened. She asked me if I felt suicidal. I told her no, that's never been an option for me, and I'm feeling better than I was. She didn't realize I meant better than before John broke up with me. I couldn't believe that killing myself seemed like a good idea yesterday. How could feelings be so dangerous? How much longer would it have been until it affected my actions? Would I still be here if he never called me last night? My parents were both furious at the whole situation. They were mad at John. My dad started going through every female on his Facebook friends list. I didn't understand why. I knew he was wasting his time. This was all my fault. They should be mad at me. They should resent me for not being able to keep him happy. I had one job and I blew it, and now my whole family has to suffer because of me. I was so ashamed. I went on the Albuquerque trip. John's friend, who would be his best man, was going too. I avoided him the entire trip because I didn't want to be the bearer of bad news. I was just numb the whole trip. I didn't interact much with anyone. This trip is the last marching band event I will ever go on. After marching all through high school and college, this is it. He didn't like my high school friends, so I slowly pushed them away. And I had been distant with everyone in college because of him. It was always easier to keep him happy if I didn't have close friends. My life is empty now, and it's all my fault. I was contemplating reaching out to him and apologizing. Apologize for not being who he needed to be, and thank him for loving me anyway. And I'm still trying to figure out what went wrong. I'm so stupid. No wonder he doesn't want to marry me. I'm too stupid to know when I fucked up. I think I may have lied to my mom about not feeling suicidal. My mom picked me up after the trip. She told me they didn't know all the details, but she and my dad had discovered John had been with someone else. She was afraid of how I would take it. I was shocked, but I didn't take it hard. It was actually the biggest relief I have ever had. I don't have to blame myself for everything now. It turns out this is on him too. A huge weight had just been lifted off my shoulders, but it just got replaced with anger. He cheated on me. He made me believe that I was the reason he was leaving, when in reality, he saw more potential in someone else. How could he do this to me? My mom and dad asked me who I thought it could be. I told them I wasn't sure. He had a lot of friends that were girls. Most of them are in relationships, though. I mentioned that he told me several months ago he thinks the junior firefighter girl had a crush on him. He also told me on our way home from his graduation that he had a dream about him and her responding to a structure fire call together. I thought this wasn't possible. A junior firefighter would still be in high school. My parents encouraged me to buy myself a brand new car. I was driving a 1998 Toyota Camry. They were driving me around to different dealerships while I was lying in the back seat. They were both trying so hard to lift my spirits. It hurt knowing how worried they were about me. I traded my Camry in for a brand new 2018 Jeep Compass. This was the first time I had ever splurged on myself. My cousin was going through a divorce. She had been with her husband for as long as I had been with John. It really brought us together since our relationships both ended at the same time, under the same circumstances. So we went on a beach trip together. It felt good to spoil myself and vent to each other about our problems for a week. When I returned, my dad told me they had found out who he was with. It was, in fact, the junior firefighter. Knowing the other girl's identity didn't change how I felt. I just thought, good for them, how convenient. I had to get a hold of his mom to exchange each other's stuff. I asked his mom, have you met his new girlfriend? No. He did tell you he was with someone else, right? No. He promised us he didn't. I then sent her some screenshots and told her, I'm sorry, he's lying to you. I met his mom a few days later to exchange each other's stuff. I didn't give the engagement ring back. I asked, are you happy for him? She responded, well, we're happy he's happy. I could tell she was embarrassed. After this, the fury of betrayal started kicking in. I had several meltdowns. I was screaming. I was throwing stuff across the room. I pulled my hair so hard that I noticed I was pulling it out. I was scared of what I was turning into. I felt like a monster. He made sure he was in an unknown location before he made the last phone call he'd ever make to me. He didn't have it in him to do it in person. He was afraid of what I'd do to him, what my dad would do to him. He didn't have the nerve to face anyone. He just ran and hid. He lied to his parents about being with someone else. He didn't care what his parents thought of me. He wanted them to believe he left me simply because I made him miserable, and he was better off alone. Meanwhile, I lied to my parents to protect him. I wanted them to think highly of him, like I did. He lied to his parents to protect himself. He wanted everyone to blame me. I lied for him, and he lied for himself. How long had he been with her? Why did he put me through this? You knew I was strong and could put on a brave face when needed. But why were you trying to push me over the edge? Why did he make me swallow every last bit of pride I had and beg for him when his mind was already made up? Did you get some kind of sick thrill making me cry and beg for you? Did it feel good when you were kicking me while I was down? Why couldn't he just tell me that he cheated and end our engagement with some dignity instead of torturing me in hopes I would snap and break up with him? If it were the other way around, I would tell him what I had done. I would have told him he shouldn't forgive me and that our engagement needs to end because you deserve better than to be with a cheater, even if that cheater is me. Why couldn't he have done it that way? Did you want me to kill myself? Were you seriously okay with your fiancé committing suicide to keep things easier for yourself? What did my family ever do to you? How could you be okay with ending my life and putting everyone I love through that? Were you trying to start a fight when you told me you didn't think that you were happy anymore? Were you hoping I'd break it off with you that night? Did you get nervous when I begged for you instead? You must have broke it off with me because you were afraid of getting caught. Or worse, maybe I would kill myself after you left me? You couldn't risk my suicide being after everyone knew you left me. You must have thought, oh no, it's not working. The best thing I can do for myself now is try to let her down easily. You wanted me to kill myself so you could be the grieving boyfriend. You'd rather me be dead so you'd have no enemies. You must have loved the idea of my whole family comforting you and apologizing for my selfish actions. You knew them well enough to know they would still love you and consider you family. They'd probably encourage you to move on and find someone new. That way, you could act like your relationship with her started shortly after you, and my devastated family buried me. How convenient. This is a level of selfishness I never thought could exist. Maybe I'm just crazy and blowing it out of proportion, but you can't tell me that your intentions were never to hurt me. You saw how badly I was hurting. You saw my lifeless face. You knew that I was feeling suicidal, yet you did nothing. How could you say that you loved me? You were killing me. I was dying, and you just saw it as an imposition. I was an obstacle that needed to be disposed of. I fought for you. I protected you. I've been over backward to make you happy. Your being happy meant the world to me. There was nothing I wanted more. I wanted happiness more for you than I wanted it for myself. I reinvented myself a million times with the hopes that at least one of the versions of me would make you feel complete. And all you did was chew it all up and spit it in my face while I lie on the ground bleeding out because of you. You knew I could handle it. You knew I was strong. You knew how badly I wanted you to be happy. That's why you did it. You know how I always make the best of every situation. You knew that me telling the world about your dirty laundry wouldn't make me feel better. You knew I would keep it to myself. You knew that I would not seek revenge because I finally got what I wanted, your happiness. You knew I would simply wish you the best because when I love someone, I give them my whole heart, and you still had it. I can't believe he didn't care about how this would eat away at my soul. I gave him the most important years of my life. I started moving on with my life. I started my last semester at school. I got a job at Tutors. I had no one to talk to. I had never felt so lonely. I was juggling denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance faster than I could keep up. I was trying to remember things that had happened in the following months. What happened was like a severe accident that messed with my memory. I was still trying to process everything. At school, a lot of guys talked to me more. They were really friendly and would try to get to know me. I was confused about this at first, but I realized it had to be because I was no longer wearing a ring. Around the same time, guys from my area tried to befriend me and ask if I was single on Facebook. I wasn't sure how to take this at first. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to date people. Why are they interested in me? You realize I'm a freak, right? Why do you think I keep to myself? Why do you think I have no friends? No one wants me. You shouldn't want me either. After ensuring they weren't just looking for a hookup, I agreed to go out for coffee or dinner with a few. I told them I wasn't ready to be in a serious relationship because I just got out of one. I was carrying a lot of emotional baggage, and I didn't want to burden anyone with it. It was nice talking to someone about what I had been through in the past months, but I think I overwhelmed several of them with it all. I never heard from many of them again. I didn't know what my standards were or what I was looking for in a partner. I just need to stay single until I've figured it out and am a little more emotionally stable. I don't know how to date people anyway. It's the middle of March now, about 3 months later. I enjoy doing whatever I wanted with my money. My sister and I started planning a 2-week road trip as a graduation present to myself. I planned a date with a guy named Mason, who went to Hurricane High School and was class of 2013, just 2 years before me. He was a big gamer. We discussed the games we've both played. He was familiar with all the games I talked about. He made me blush, smile, and laugh so much when we talked. He drove an orange Camaro. I was excited to go for a ride in it. He picked me up, and we went to dinner. I gave him the whole rundown of events that had happened in the last 3 months. Once I got through everything on the list, he said that it all sounded so rough, and that he was sorry that that all happened to me. He still seemed just as interested in me. It didn't seem to bother him that I was still not over what happened to me. We drove down several back roads for hours after dinner so we could talk longer. He was really fun to talk to. He had a playlist made just for our time in the car together. Pop/punk, boy bands, all songs singing about a special girl in their life. He made me smile so much and I felt so comfortable around him. When he took me back to my car after our date, I really didn't want to leave him. I wanted to see him again. Will I see you again? He said, "We'll see," with a smile. I got into my car and drove home. I started overthinking how he said, "We'll see," instead of, "Yes, I want to see you again." He didn't message me that night. Morning came, and I went to work. He still hasn't messaged me. I started tearing up while cleaning the dining room. I scared him off. He probably couldn't wait to get me back to my car so he could get rid of me. I'm so stupid. I tried to convince myself that it was okay. I didn't really like him that much anyway. He messaged me and told me good morning. I was so relieved. I told him I was afraid you wouldn't talk to me anymore. "You don't have to worry about that with me." He asked me if I wanted to go out again. I was so happy. He thought I was amazing. He thought every detail about me was so fascinating and perfect. When he drove, he always looked over at me. "I'm sorry. It's hard to keep my eyes off of you. I can't believe I have a girl as pretty as you in my car. I'm glad I found a girl who's a nerd like me." This made me think, yeah, I guess I am a nerd. John didn't care for any games I played. He just saw me gaming as something that takes my attention away from him. The fact that I didn't have to be ashamed about gaming around him had me overjoyed. I could embrace it. I could be proud of it. He gave me butterflies like crazy. Am I falling in love again? Or am I just confused? After several more dates, he hugged me, and I snuck in a kiss. I was actually about to ask you if I could kiss you, but that answered my question. It's April now. One day, when we were out together, he asked if I thought it was a good idea to make our relationship official finally. I didn't say anything. I just froze. It had only been about 4 months since John left me. It was really traumatic, and it still kept me up at night. I wasn't sure if I was ready. So, no, I'm not saying no. I just don't think I'm ready. I told him I'd like to be single while I go on that road trip with my sister. We had it planned for the end of May. What I didn't tell him is that I didn't want to worry about keeping someone at home happy while I was busy trying to have fun. The whole purpose of the road trip was to make me feel free. He didn't mind at all. He told me to take my time and do what's best for me. I hope I can still kiss you, though. This man really adores me. That night I thought really hard about us. I knew I still wasn't thinking straight from everything that had happened back in December. I thought about how broken I was and how much pain I was in. Mason has done nothing but bring me joy. He was comforting me and healing my hurt. He still wanted to hold my hand, kiss me, and show me off to his friends when I just told him I'm not willing to be his girlfriend. Yet, it's not fair to Mason. I shouldn't use someone like this. I shouldn't make him wait for me. What if I'm leading him on, and I decide later that I don't want to be with him? I can't hurt someone like that. I can't do someone wrong who is nothing but kind and patient with me. I want what's best for him. Should I let him go? No, I can't let him go. No one has ever made me this happy. But I can't string him along when I can't promise him anything. I felt so selfish and I didn't know what to do. I really think I love him. Please stay. Please don't go. We went on several more dates, and he never brought up making our relationship official again. He really cared about me and wanted me to do whatever my heart wanted to do. It was such a selfless thing that I'd never thought someone would do for me. I really thought I didn't deserve to be loved and cared for. Am I really worthy of all of this love and affection he was giving me infinite amounts of? He got angry with me once in a conversation when I started getting insecure. Why do you always put yourself down? How could someone like you hate yourself so much? You need to stop. It's only human to make mistakes and no one is perfect. But you should know how smart and beautiful you are. I need you to know that. You need to take me seriously when I compliment you. I'm not just trying to flatter you. I really mean everything I say to you. I froze. I didn't know how to respond to that. You're supposed to be ashamed when someone reprimands you. But that was what he was reprimanding me for. I took a second to process what he said before I responded. You're right. Thank you. That's better. I had been dreading disappointing him for the first time. I guess I was afraid he'd snap out of the daydream he's in, see that I'm not perfect, get disgusted, and never talk to me again. But nothing prepared me for that. He didn't just see me as the girl of his dreams. He also saw me as a person. He's not just showering me with affection because he's blindly in love. He was falling in love and could see perfectly. When we gamed together, he made me laugh so hard because he'd praise every little thing I did. I'm just walking around. You're so good at this game. I'd solve a puzzle. You're so smart. I'd kill an enemy. That was so hot. Stop it. I'm not even that far into the game. No, you're good at this and need to know it. Mason's friends liked me and told me I was so good to him. I have never seen Mason so happy. I'm so happy Mason found someone like you. I told my mom how he loved everything about me. That's so amazing. You deserve someone who treats you like a princess. I'm so glad you found him. You deserve so much happiness. I never thought I'd hear someone say I deserve this. We loved seeing each other smile. It was so rewarding for us to see each other happy. We never stopped trying to make it happen every day. It was like being high on love. I felt like I could fly. And all at once, I didn't care about being single on my road trip. I didn't care about my past. I didn't care about the possibility of hurting him because I never want to. I just want Mason. It's been long enough. This is real. On April 12, 2018, I told him I'd like to be his girlfriend. In November 2019, we bought our first home together. On October 2, 2021, we got married. On June 25, 2024, our son Rowan was born. I have never been happier in my life. And it's not because I found a better man, but because I've learned to love myself, thanks to Mason. I believe now. I believe that I'm worth it. I believe that I'm important. I believe that I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be respected. I deserve peace and happiness. I'm smart. I have endless potential. My feelings matter. I recognize that I'm compassionate and considerate of everyone I love. I am a good sister and a good daughter. I'm a good person. And I also think I believe in soulmates now. I'm ashamed of how low I thought of myself. I thought I was a bad person. I legitimately thought I was one of the worst people to ever exist. I thought everyone around me was better. Everyone else is smarter, friendlier, and more capable than I'll ever be. I don't deserve anything. I'm scared of people now. After everything I've been through, I learned the hard way that I am a good person in a world of nasty people. Everyone I meet, I think, are you a monster too? Are you going to stab me in the back? Are you only being nice because you want something from me? What do you want from me? I'm afraid of getting too comfortable with people. I see the best in people, and that's not a good thing. I still struggle with my confidence. Am I doing the right thing? Did I say the right thing? Did I make that awkward? Did I offend them? My heart still hurts sometimes. I really do see what I went through as a traumatic accident, and the part of me that got injured didn't heal properly and goes through routine pain from time to time. Whenever I have disagreements with colleagues, am disrespected by clients, or argue with family, I take it all more personally, and it hurts more than it used to. I can't grasp that my life is real. Even though I have my own house, am married, and have a son, I am still trying to process that this is real life and these events are really happening. I can't believe we're homeowners. I can't believe we're married. I can't believe I'm pregnant. I can't believe I'm a mother. I don't say these things because it's unbelievable. I say these things because it's not believable. Ever since I heard the words, I don't know if I'm happy anymore, something changed me. It's like I'm frozen thinking. Did I hear that right? Am I processing this right? John permanently changed me, and the accident crippled me for life. Mason will never know who I was before it happened. It's not fair that Mason gets the lesser version of me. He deserves the old me. Instead, he got someone who was scared of the world, goes through regular phases of depression, and is somewhat delusional because she isn't completely in touch with reality. I'm never going to get over it. I was a child when I met John. I was so naive and vulnerable. I had a huge heart. I was a perfect victim for a narcissist. I never wonder about what could have been with John. I only wonder what could have been if I had never met him. If I would have more friends. If I would have experienced falling in love 100 times as a teenager instead of just once. I'll never stop wondering how much life I never got to live because of him. Those were my teenage years, and I will never get them back. I will never stop feeling stupid for being with him when he didn't deserve me. I was in control of my life, yet I stood by his side even though he bullied me, degraded me, and ridiculed me every chance he got. Yes, he cheated on me. That's on him. But I loved him unconditionally, and I tolerated him unconditionally. That will always be on me.